Do you know, as human, the moment we think we're actually safe might be our weakest moment and vulnerable moment. But we're being kept alive, not by our power, but by the mercy and grace of God. My name is Ibuchi Maxwell. Welcome to Aletia Insight. On this channel, we're going to talk about God and how He has been merciful, gracious to me. If you're a new subscriber, please try and subscribe and let's get on with the video. There's actually a psalm that speaks to me, and I'm going to tell you, I told you from the beginning that this channel is going to be about storytelling. It's going to be about my journey with God. Now I'm going to tell you what happened in 2010, and that's one of the things I actually love about Psalm 91. Psalm 91 says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High God shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." In 2010, I was with my friends. We were actually gisting, talking things that are actually not meaningful, but that was through my youth service. And the time was actually around, I think it was almost 7 p.m. And the Holy Spirit said to me, "Start praying." But because I was gisting with my friends, I pretended like as if I wasn't hearing what the Holy Spirit was saying. And He said, "Start praying." And I ignored Him again. And the third time was like a scream, "Start praying." And I stood up immediately. I didn't know what I was going to pray. I didn't have an idea of what to pray about. But immediately I opened my mouth, I just started praying. I was walking and praying. I think I walked like some distance, came back, walked and prayed. And I will actually tell you, if it was not because of grace of God that day, I would have died. Now, what happened? Around 11 p.m. to 12 p.m., I dozed off, I slept off. And in that dream, a woman pointed a double-barrel gun on my forehead and said, "Today, you're going to die." And at first I became confused, like, "Who are you? What have I done to deserve this?" And she said, "I shouldn't ask any question, that today is going to be my last day on earth." I wasn't terrified, because my normal dreams and the visions God has showed me, I know God has told me I could do anything once I believe. But this was a different case. How was this a different case? Normally I could command thunder, fire from heaven to burn whatever was trying to attack me. But this stage, this woman felt so powerful. And she said today was going to be my last moment on earth. And I kept saying, "What have I done? What did I do?" And she said, "You shouldn't ask any question." And this seems like hours until a man came and stood between me and this woman. And this man kept interceding, kept talking to this woman on my behalf. But this woman stubbornly refused to listen. It got to a stage where the man asked me to look back, and I looked back. I saw 4 to 5 Christians praying, and the man said, "Go and kneel down." So I knelt down, and these Christians who were praying kept praying around me. They kept praying and praying and praying. I told you, I said this dream started like 11, 12. I woke up by 5 o'clock in the morning sweating like somebody who has just returned from a war. To some people, this is just a dream. But if you're actually a believer who believes in spiritual things, you know this is not just a dream. This is a dream that should have taken my life. In Psalm 91, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under His shadow." If it was not because of God, if it was not because God kept me alive. Psalm 91 from 1 to 2 talks about God's presence, and 3 to 4 talks about God's protection, God's peace, into 5 to 6. And Psalm 91 from 11 to 13 talks about God's provision. 7 to 10 talks about God's perspective. And 14 to 16 talks about God's power. If it was not because of God's mercy and grace, I would have gone. Something else happened again within that period, and I'm going to share it with you. During my youth service, there was someone from my school. We served together in Zamfara, and throughout that period, the mom was always calling me. I'm like, hey, I want to speak to my son, his number is not going through, and so I became close to the mom. After youth service, I was at home one hot afternoon, and I dreamt that this guy was dead. And in that dream, I just saw that he was the only son, and I saw his uncles, aunties, family members. They all came together and said, we need to take this boy out so that they will have access to the father's property. And I saw how they held the meeting, how they concluded, and how this boy was killed in the dream. And when I woke up, because I know my dream, my wife calls me Joseph. And when I woke up, I picked my phone, called his number. His number was not going. Then I checked Facebook, only for me to see he was dead, true. And I became angry in my spirit. Now, the difference is God protects his people. If you have a relationship with God, he keeps you safe from the things you do not know. He keeps you safe from the gathering of the wicked. He didn't say you will not pass through fire. He said, when you pass through fire, I will be with you. He didn't say the enemies will not gang up against you. But he said, when they gang up against you, he will be there to protect you. When you look at Psalms 35 from 5 to 8, it talks about how the evil ones planned, dug hole, made every attempt to kill the righteous one. But the prayer of the righteous one said, God, please let their ways be dark and slippery. Let them fall into the pit they've dug for me. For without cause, they ganged up against me. So they ganged up against this boy who we actually graduated from the same school and ended his life. So when I checked Facebook and I saw this, my spirit was troubled. I was angry. Now, why was I angry? I was angry because I know this woman. I know this boy. I know how when this woman couldn't reach his son, the pain. I actually know how it feels to lose someone because I lost my mom when I was 6 years old, and I'm going to share that experience. And I became angry and I said, God, this can't go unpunished. This can't go unpunished. And God asked me, what do you want? And I said, the same way they've gathered, planned and plotted to kill this boy, is the same way I want them to come together and let me pass judgment on them. And that night, I saw all of them on the same way they sat and planned against the boy. And God said, pass your judgment. And I said, all the things they planned and did to the boy and took his life, let God do the same thing to them. And I woke up immediately. Now, was I happy that I passed that judgment? Yes. The wicked gang up against the innocent for no just cause. The wicked come against the innocent for no just cause. But God, by his mercy, keeps the righteous safe. And I'm still going to tell you something again. The one who watches over Israel, not that sleeps, not slumber. You as a Christian, you have a good relationship with God. Because the evil ones are never asleep. The evil ones are walking to and fro, looking for havoc to cause. They are not sleeping at night. They are not sleeping at noonday. They are looking for havoc to cause. So, but as a Christian, we need to constantly seek the face of God to avoid these calamities. But as a parent, it's our duty to constantly pray for our kids, pray for our spouses, and intercede on their behalf. As a single person, as a bachelor, as a single person, It's your duty to actually pray and prophesy on yourself. Speak to yourself. Speak positive things to yourself. Whether things are going positively for you or whether things are actually not going the way you want them. But it's actually good to speak to yourself. Speak about the things you want to achieve. I remember when I was going to camp. Actually, I've stopped this method. At times I can be very, for example, I was in a car going to camp, and my spirit just said there will be an accident. Now, I should have said accident will not happen. This thing has happened to me 2, 3 to 4 times, but now I actually stop it from happening. But before, I'll just sense it that accident will happen, and I will say, well, it's not my business. As far as I know, nothing will happen to me. An accident will happen probably in the next 1 or 2 minutes, and nothing will happen to me. But now I've stopped saying nothing will happen to me. Now I say accidents cannot happen, because it's not just about me. It's also about the people in the car. It's also about the people in the bus. It's also about the people on the road. So this time around, I say it will not happen. The evil ones know. Now, when I was going to camp, I had an accident, and before this accident occurred, I knew. I didn't stop. I just said nothing will happen to me. And in less than 2 minutes, we had an accident. The driver injured himself. One passenger injured himself. Nothing happened to me. The dream I shared with you guys was like a week or 2 weeks from graduation. So it means that the devil is not asleep. It means that the devil knows your day of celebration. I was going to camp. Camp was another step to my life. And the devil wanted to cut my life short. But because of the mercy of God, I was kept safe. A week to 2 to graduate from camp, as death came to, or by the mercy and grace of God, is kept alive. So our journey, God did not promise us that we won't go through difficult moments. God did not promise us that things will be smooth from beginning of our birth to the end. No, God didn't say so. But He said, when you pass through the fire, I, God, will be with you. So when things happen to me, I tell myself, God is with me. God is going to see me through this challenge. God is going to see me through this difficult moment. Because if I don't go through difficult moments, how will I be able to relate with people who are going through the same thing or who are going through that thing? Imagine if you've never lacked food. Imagine if you've never looked for what to eat. Imagine if you've never looked for shelter and somebody is telling you he has not eaten throughout today. It will make sense to you. But if you've gone through these things, you'll be able to relate from where that person is coming from. So as a believer, as a Christian or as a non-Christian, the Lord is everly ready to speak to you. The Lord is everly ready to have a communion, a communication with you. Don't use the Lord like a phone. Phone is, you pick it, you call somebody, you dump it when you're done. A lot of we Christians do that. It's when we need God, we pick, we'll call Him. When we're done, we dump Him like a phone. Our relationship with God should be more than that. Our relationship with God should be on every second of our lives. Through prayer, through supplication, through food. I remember growing up, we always feel being born again is so difficult. Maybe because of how... Now, when I mean growing up, I told you from my video, from the beginning that my relationship with God, I knew God from when I was 6, 7 years old. That was when He appeared to me. But that 7 to 10, 11 years old, Christianity was like, when they say being born again, it was like as if when you're born again, you have no life. Maybe because of the way it was being portrayed. Like, once you're not born again, you're dead, you are condemned, your life days when you are not born again. Like the thing was like too aggressive, was more like even when you're born again, you don't have a life. But I've come to realize that you can be all you want to be and be born again. It doesn't affect, being born again does not affect you from achieving your life goal. Being born again does not affect you from being who you want to be. Being born again means having a relationship with God. Having a relationship with God that you in your conscience you're actually proud of it. Now, being born again doesn't mean you will not sin against God. But sinning against God and accepting that you've sinned against God and confessing your sin before Him is being born again. Being born again is walking on the right path, on the righteous path with God. Being born again is communicating with God. Being born again is talking to God like you're talking to your friends. I just with God, I tell God, like the way I tell people, the way I talk to God, I can bring my chair clean and say, Baba, man, your boy needs you. Your boy needs your help. Baba. Now, it doesn't necessarily, there are times God becomes silent in our lives. But it doesn't necessarily mean He's not there. He's there. So, this is actually my first video. So, I'm going to share more videos, my journey with God, how we could relate to things about God, spirituality, marriage, and all. So that brings us to the end of the video. I hope and thank you for actually staying to the end of this video. I hope you were able to pick one or two things that will actually help in your growth as a Christian. And for prayers, you can actually send an email to alertainsights@gmail.com. Thank you, and hopefully we're going to see you in the next video. Bye.